I would now like to introduce to you a true unsung giant of the community. For the power of the census, can I invite Dr. Jamil Sharif to share insights on how data shapes understanding and action within our communities. Please, can we give Dr. Jamil a big round of applause? Before you start, Dr. Jamil, I just wanted to read a bit of background about you.
And I'll introduce myself.
Oh, you will?
Yes.
Fantastic. Even better, it's coming from you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Can you all hear me? Assalamu alaikum. So as an introduction, I'm a data analyst by profession. And I've been involved with census work now for a very long time, since the campaign started in 2001. And I'm a volunteer at the MCB, the Muslim Council of Britain, working on in this research and documentation committee. So I'll be speaking about the census. But I just want to begin by saying that very many decades ago, I was at the City University Business School, and one of our assignments was to do some role playing. And one of the roles was to do what's called an escalator pitch or an elevator pitch, where you have to convince a venture capitalist within 1 minute of an idea. So alhamdulillah, Fadi has given me 10 minutes. And my aim is to convince you as leaders of Muslim charities on the importance of census data. And also one of the themes will be how it is a basis for targeted interventions. My other underlying message is that if you have a strong British Muslim community, you will have a strong Muslim charity sector. So just as an overview, what is the census? So every 10 years, every household in Britain gets a very detailed questionnaire. And that is an incredibly valuable source of British social statistics, especially for minority faiths and the ethnic populations. And in the last 3 censuses, it's been completed by almost 94% of Muslim households. So in this, my pitch is that I want to convey the importance of census in 2 areas. Firstly, how it is a basis for our own self-awareness and our self-understanding of Muslims in Britain. And secondly, how it provides an evidence base for yourselves to do targeted interventions to help British Muslims. Because if you have a strong British Muslim community, we have got good upward social mobility, we have a strong charity sector. So I won't be, as I said, it's an escalator pitch, so I only have 8 slides. The first 3 slides are about demographics. But there is an underlying subtext to it where I want to make you aware of some of the infrastructure weaknesses in our Muslim civil society. The second lot of slides, a couple of slides, is about the disproportionate number of Muslim households in the deprived and poor neighborhoods of the United Kingdom. And then I want to go on to show how one can combine census data with mapping software in order to enable useful interventions. And the last slide it's just to show you it's not all doom and gloom. We are doing well in many areas. And I was really heartened to hear the last session about Muslim sisters in the charity sector. And there'll be some statistics there which I think will be very relevant and overlap with that presentation. My last slide was really that we have though we may be doing well in some areas, there's no room for complacency. And also I would like to conclude with a wish list and a QR code so you can download some of the reports which the MCB has been producing on the census. So to begin with just some overviews, demographics. Sorry. Right. So here, please let me know if you can't hear me properly. So here on the left-hand side, it shows how the Muslim population has been increasing in the last 20 years. So, because the religion question in the census only started in 2001. So we have moved from up the level, we are now 4 million, okay? So that's a figure we should all have at our fingertips, 4 million, and that is 6%, okay? So anybody talking about the Great Replacement Theory, about Islamistan in Britain, they are really far-fetched, okay? 6% only, okay? It is growing, but it is nowhere near the threats and the alarmist talk which we hear. But keep those two figures in mind all the time, 4 million and 6% in the United Kingdom. But moving on to something a bit more serious, if you look at where is religion in society today, okay, and you'll find this alarming or this shocking drop in the Christian population. And you find an increase in people who say they are no religion. And where Muslims are increasing in population. But that is an important lesson or an important message for us. Is it Muslims who are going to be the only section of society who stand for the sacred? Are we the only ones who will have an appreciation of the spiritual dimension? I hope not. And I think it's important for us to form alliances with other groups in society who do share some, an appreciation that there is a spiritual dimension to life. Okay, so I don't know whether you have read Baroness Warsi's very passionately written book, Muslims Don't Matter, in which she makes the point that Muslims are here to stay. We have nowhere else to go. This is our home, okay? And on the left-hand side, you have a map which shows the extent to which Muslims have spread across the country, across the nation, in almost every area, including Belfast, okay? So we are here to stay, our roots are here, we have to struggle, this is our jihad, if we have to protect ourselves, but we have nowhere else to go and we have to make the most of it, okay? 4 million, 6%. But so it has been an increase in population, and where has the population grown, okay? Okay, it has grown in London, but it has also grown in some unexpected places, like Leeds, like Luton, like Dundee, okay? And my question is our Muslim civil society infrastructure geared up to these increases in demand? Okay? Because there will be increase in demand in madrasas, in childcare, you name it, youth services, even cemeteries. Okay? But for yourselves, as coming from the charity sector, the question is, are you aware of this changing demographic? Is your marketing aware where there are increases in population in some of the urban centers? Sorry. Right. So, and this is my last slide on demographics. Okay, I'm surprised by the background there. But on the left-hand side, you have what is known as an age-sex pyramid, okay? So the central axis is age, right, going from 0 to 100, for the few people who do live that long, okay? And what you have here on either side is the male population and the female Muslim population. And what is most striking is how it is narrowing down, right? So most of our population is at the bottom end, at the younger age, much fewer at the top end, okay? So while, say, the statistic is for our, we have an aging society, okay? So maybe, I think 14% of the British society as a whole is over 65, but only 4% of Muslims are over 65. Similarly, we have twice as many younger people. Now, what does that mean, strategic census? And what does the term demographic dividend mean? The demographic dividend is that young Muslims are a strategic asset to this nation, right? Because the young Muslims are employed and they're providing the contributions for the pensioners. In an aging society, the youth population is a real asset, okay? So, but I think there's something, sorry, my slides may have been, I think there is another slide behind this. which is about youth services. I think as a charity sector, you really must focus on the growing number, the demand for youth services. Because with the austerity cuts, there have been closing down of counseling services, of facilities. Many Muslim charities, when Muslim sports clubs, for example, are reluctant to seek lottery funding, right? And hence they are using very dilapidated facilities. They have cricket clubs who are in shocking state, but they don't want to go for lottery funding to upgrade their facilities. Because the main source of a lot of the funding is from the National Lottery Fund. Okay? So we need to have alternative sources to meet that gap. The other aspect of our age profile is that sooner or later, all the people in the middle will become old, right? Maybe there may be about 250,000 Muslims over the age of 65 in 10 years' time. Okay? I mean, that's a sobering thought. What are we doing in terms of elderly care provision, whether it is in the home or elsewhere, in special centers? Right? And I don't think we have woken up to this, really, though many of us are almost in that category. And hopefully our children will look after us. But there's no guarantee in the future that these values are going to continue. So those are my three demographic slides with a bit of a wake-up call in them. Right, so now I want to move on to the question of deprivation and poverty. So if you look at the poorest local authority districts in England, right, and you take you ask the question, where is 20% of the population living? So 20% of the population is living in 46 of the poorest local authorities. But for Muslims, it's twice as many. 40% of us are living in the poorest local authorities, right? And living in poor neighborhoods has many factors, right? Has many implications, right? There's poor housing, okay? There's poor health. There's child poverty, right? And so the MCB has found in our analysis that twice as many Muslims are living in poor neighborhoods. It is worse for some pockets of our ethnic population, especially for the Pakistani population, right? And our work has been corroborated by the Joseph Rowntree Foundation's work. Okay, so now I want to go on to, let us be a bit more creative, right? I was talking about targeted interventions. How do we make targeted interventions? So here you have how we are using the MCB census data with mapping software, right? So here you have just one local borough, which is Brent. And on the left-hand side, you have the Muslim population. So the deeper the color, the more the Muslims. And on the right-hand side, you have a map showing what is called the index of multiple deprivation. The index of multiple deprivation is a basket to look at poverty in terms of overcrowding houses, people on job seeker allowance, etc. And you can see where are the areas, the poor areas with high Muslim population. And then you can do targeted intervention. And we can do, you've got just use your imagination. With all the data in the census, one can draw a variety of maps for targeted interventions. Where is there the youth population? Where is there the population of elderly? Where is the population of unemployed? Right? And then do your targeted interventions. Okay. So of course the charity sector is wonderful, doing a lot of work overseas, but what are you doing for Muslims in Britain, where there's a need? Okay, so just moving on, not all is gloom and doom. Over the last 20 years, we have more men and women going into the labor market. Okay, not as much as other faith communities, but there's a positive sign, right? Even, especially among women, employment is rising. Okay, and then also our education levels are rising. And what we're showing here is what's called level 4, which is graduate level, right? There are a greater proportion of our Muslim population achieving graduate level qualifications. But what I find interesting, or what we have found interesting in our data, is that there are many local authorities where there are more women, Muslim women, at graduate level than Muslim men, right? And that has major implications, internal family dynamics, leadership of organizations, services provided by mosques, right? So we need to make this, so this is when I talk about census raising self-awareness and self-understanding. That's an example, okay? The last of these is our socioeconomic classification, which is Muslims in higher level jobs, okay? Again, it's increasing, but really there's no room for complacency, and I'll tell you why. Okay, I didn't bring that slide in here, but what is it? The Muslims if you look at Muslims in higher job profiles, okay, if you just bear with me. So our figure, if I go back, we have 8.2 Muslims in higher management positions, right? Top. They've broken through the glass ceiling, right? And what do you think it is for Hindus? 22%, right? For Jewish communities, 25%. So we are doing well, but there's no room for complacency. And we have, again, this is part of our target intervention. What are we doing to help up-and-coming people to break through the glass ceiling? What is the role of mentoring? What is the role of guiding people to the right universities? There was just recently a headline in The Guardian that graduate unemployment is rising. And it'll hit us particularly because many of our graduates are not going to the Russell Group universities, right? So we have to provide mentoring so people are going to the right universities and doing the right courses. Again, an area of targeted intervention. Right. So again, no reason for no complacency. We are all shocked by the high level in the Muslim population who have no qualification. So we have like two peaks. We have those who are doing well at level 4 graduates, but a shocking number without qualifications. Why is that? Right? Places like Yorkshire and Humber, in that age group of 26, 25, 49, almost over a quarter with no qualifications. In the younger age group, which is even more serious, even places like West Midlands, Birmingham, 12.2% in the 16-24 have no qualifications. Where is the problem lying? Okay, so we have had ventures like the whole huge Trojan horse affair, where some Muslims want to do something about raising education attainment, but they were hounded out. So we mustn't give up that fight. We have to somehow look at educational attainment amongst young Pakistanis in places like Birmingham. And then there are other statistics. There's poor health, especially among older women, right? Now, a lot of these issues which I've raised, which you are raising here, there's a big debate going on in policy circles. Is it an issue of institutional racism, institutional barriers, or is it Muslims adopting a certain lifestyle? Okay, so there's that debate going on. Is the poor health amongst elderly women, is it because they are unable to access health facilities because of structural biases in the system, or is there something we should be doing about healthy living messages while they're still in their middle age? Okay. Another shocking statistic for us has been the number of families, lone parent families with dependent children. Can you imagine? There's a greater proportion in the Muslim population than overall society. I mean, this is something to think about, right? And also the data in Scotland is showing that where there's a lone parent family with dependent children, the lone parent is predominantly a woman, okay? Now, just put yourself in the picture of these lone parent families. If they want counseling help, and if it's a woman, and they go to a mosque, do you think a male imam will be able to address their needs? Will they be able to discuss their issues in that scenario. So there's immense need for widening the staffing in our mosques and Islamic centers to cater for these changes in society. And it's not going away, okay? So I've almost done my, okay, I just want to bring in the prison population. We can't not talk about it. Though it's not a census data, because for some reason, well, for various reasons, in 2021 census, they decided not to break down prison population by ethnicity and religion. Right? So we had to look for other sources, but we have brought it in because it's important for our self-understanding and awareness of some of the social realities. And, you know, again, there are a few projects which have been started to help to stop recidivism. Recidivism is people going back into prison. Okay? But from anecdotally, I've heard that there's an institutional bias in the probation service, so they don't give enough attention to Muslims leaving prison in terms of their rehabilitation. All right? So there's a greater level of recidivism amongst Muslims. But there may be other factors, and it's really quite appalling that we have this high level of prison population. What are we doing about it? So this is where I think I've used my escalator pitch. I had some other data, but I think I'm running out. I just want to leave you. I did want to mention child poverty. Muazzam Malik Saab's work and his recent statistic of 1 in 3 children in Britain are living in poverty. And I think a lot of that would be within the ethnic minorities and the Muslim. I mean, what affects Muslim, this is another thing to remember, is that 1 in 3 of the ethnic minorities is Muslim, right? So what is good for the ethnic minorities is also good for Muslims when we tackle anti-racism. Don't forget that. That's where our alliances have to be built. So, okay, so I think, again, the background has come from somewhere, but really my take-home messages were that you need to appreciate the value of census data. It's a basis for evidence-based interventions. And also we need to nurture a culture of strategic planning within our institutions to think about issues like elderly care, coping with changing population shifts in urban centers. And the final message is at the bottom, which I'm keeping repeating, a strong British Muslim community means a strong Muslim charity sector. Jazakallah khair. Thank you for your patience.